Yeah, so tell me all about this elderberry syrup. I've heard from other
Okay.
people, but I don't know too much about it.
Okay, well, I think way back when we've lost the art of looking around our environment and seeing what's out there that we can use that we don't have to go and buy. And I'm fascinated with plants and what we can learn from plants. And I think if you actually look at all the pharmaceuticals and track back what's in them, the derivative is from plants. So we don't actually need to be feeding that beast at all. We can just walk out in our woodlands and in our fields and in our our environment and see things that can help us, and it's almost like nature's listening to us. I was For instance, in every June the elder tree bursts out into blossom. And if you can recognize it and you can recognize the flower, once you recognize it, you see it
It's
literally
all little
everywhere.
white flowers, isn't it?
Yeah, they're like little white flowers on a sort of frond, and then they're flat. The flowers are actually flat. You could almost put something on the. It's like they're like little tables. I always imagine little fairies sitting on them. Sorry, I'm not
Oh,
American. I always think they're just really a really amazing tree because it gives us two things. It gives us the elder flower in June, and then later on towards the end of August, possibly early September, depending on where you are, it gives you the berry. And they're two totally different things. I make my drinks every year. I make a huge batch of elderflower in the summer in June, and I make masses of it, so it lasts me right through the year. And here I have my Chateau 22, my
oh wow.
elderflower syrup.
Look at the colour of
Um,
that. It's lovely.
Unfortunately, my husband made a big dent in my stash this year because it was so hot and gorgeous outside. And he was working in the garden and building up an incredible sweat. He go, oh, could I have some elderflower? So I didn't probably make enough this year. But what it's lovely to have is it's lovely to have this all year round in the winter time as well, especially nice at Christmas time. You can give it away as gifts. And it's really, really easy to make. So I can give some information about that in maybe in another video. But I'd really like to talk today about the elderberry. So I only made 2 bottles of elderberry, but I finish up with a lovely, thick, dark syrup that's absolutely packed
Wow.
with antioxidants and vitamin C. And it is a proper cold killer. It's a
That
proper,
looks lush,
I
that does.
I need a pickup. I feel a bit stuffy. I've got a sore throat. It's a proper packs a punch. You can actually buy elderflower syrup. There's a company that makes it, and if you googled it and looked it up online, you would see that they're charging quite a lot of money for a very small bottle. So really, you're looking at making a massive saving, and it's all just in nature's. It's free. It's not expensive to make. It really is. It's a no-brainer for me now. I will say right from the offset, I'm not a nutritionalist. I can't make promises, and I would suggest you really research it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go
Oh
out
yeah,
and look for
like
recipes.
everything. Because we're all
But if
different, you see. You're best to do your own research, aren't you?
do your own research. There are caveats with elderberry. You've got to be really careful when you're picking it and when you're making this because um, nature's really good at warning us. Quite often, nature warns us with a bright color, and the fronds that the berries sit on, they sit like this on the tree. They're actually bright red. And that should tell us something. That tells us that actually we need to be careful of what we're eating because they really are bright red. And if they're not cooked and the berries aren't cooked, they have a potential to have cyanide in them. So you've really got to be careful, and you mustn't overdose on this syrup. You must be careful you don't take too much of it. Just a little bit. It doesn't need much. It packs a punch. So that's what I've got to say. Absolutely. Do
Yeah.
your research. Nothing is without a risk. Uh, Anything can make you well in a small quantity. In a large quantity, it can make you ill. Yeah.
Very true.
So really be very, very careful of that. But if you'd like to know how to make it, I can sort of explain how I made it.
Yeah, yeah, please. Yeah,
Well,
please.
my 85-year-old aunt who lives in Devon now. She's actually Northern Irish. We're all from Northern Ireland. She had a recipe that her mother gave her, and it's so simple. So you basically want a pint of the berries. You go out in sort of late August and pick the berries. It's great. You can go with the children and pick them. Be careful on the brambles though, because they kind of fight for for area with the brambles. I think you can post can you post with this video pictures to guide? You can
Yeah,
do that?
yeah, of course, yeah, yeah.
So first thing to do is really
Do you want me to
identify the
share them on
tree.
screen?
Yeah, you can do.
Yeah.
First thing to do is to identify the plant and know which plant you've got, because you know what you're picking. You can't just pick any old thing and think that's elderberry. It might be something poisonous. So make sure and refer to a book. Go online, check that you've got the right plant. I've given you a photograph of the elder tree as it is now. That's the only one that's leaves. I gave that one to you.
That one.
Here where I am in Dorset, they've all gone now. The berries have all gone.
Have they?
Unfortunately, yes. I wish I'd kind of met up with you earlier and we could have done this earlier in the day, but they've gone. Anyway, you can buy them dried. I did look that one up. You can buy them online dried if you want to feed the beast, or if you're not too bothered about that, that's fine. You can, I'm sure, get them in health food shops. I would suggest if you're going to get them from a health food shop dried, you'd want to soak them overnight just to get them plumped right back up again to normal, normal capacity. And then it's a really simple recipe: a pint of berries, and then put them in a saucepan, fill them up so that they're covered, and simmer them for 30 minutes. And that's a really low simmer. I mean, you're really, really gently. It's a bit like the quinine, to be fair.
Yeah.
You don't want it boiling. You just don't want it to do that. You can make it in a slow cooker, to be honest. I think slow cookers are fantastic for this.
Yeah, so, that would be a really good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So you put them in, and then when they've been done for 30 minutes, you can add sugar, and you add a pound of sugar. I'm sorry, I'm talking an old language here, we're not metric. And then you would add, say, 10 cloves, but that's really to taste, because you can muck around with that one. Now, my auntie didn't put lemon in her elderberry, but I fancied a bit of lemon in mine. So when I was simmering it for the first time, I put a few lemon rinds in.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then you heat it up for another 15 minutes to get the sugar dissolved within it.
Is that still on low?
Yeah, just the same. Absolutely. Just all you're trying to do is get the sugar dissolved.
Yeah.
You're not cooking it anymore. You're not actually cooking it. You're just trying to get it infused. You're trying to draw all the goodness out of the berry. And then you would let it cool. And then you put it into a muslin, or you can run it through a sieve and really press out all the juices. Run it through a sieve, press out all the juices. And at that stage, when you've got it through, you can add citric acid if you want to. Now, purists will say no, citric acid, not going with that. If you want it to last for a long, long time and you're really concerned about it going off, then that's the way forward. And it's citric acid is kind of, you can get a natural derivative from lemons. So I'm not professing to be any perfectionist on this. This is what I did. I didn't want to go to my elderberry and find it had gone off. So I put a little bit of citric acid in. But be careful about how much you put in, because if you put too much in, it'll do little by little, taste it. You'll taste it, just taste it gently, little by little, and then let it cool and bottle it up. But make sure your bottles are well sterilised. If you've got a dishwasher, you put them in a dishwasher. If you haven't got a dishwasher, boiled kettle, boiled, not boiling, boiled water, like slightly cooler, because if it's too boiling, it'll crack your bottles. Yeah. These hook top bottles are the best thing, I find. I don't know if you can see me now, but the hook top bottles are the best thing to use. And they're really nice. And I store mine in the fridge. So that's a very, very simple recipe. I don't know if it makes much difference if you sieve it before sugar or after sugar. Play around with it. Have a look around on the internet. Find some recipes that suit you. But it's basic. Elderberries, sugar, lemons, and if you want it, citric acid. It's a no-brainer, really.
Love it. How long do you think that lasts for?
I don't know yet. I would say probably 3 or 4 months in the fridge. Yeah.
Cool.
See, the sugar is the preservative. So we often preserve things in sugar. I mean, my elderflower that I've made has lasted 15, 16 months. it's never got a chance to last. Does that make sense? Because it gets used up. My aim is to keep one bottle back for Christmas, because we've got to have some for Christmas. And it's lovely in a cocktail. And I think the elderberry is fantastic over vanilla ice cream. Lovely.
Wow, that sounds good. That looks good.
It's really delish.
Yeah, I bet.
But when you're taking them, I can't stress enough, when you're taking the berries off the stalks,
Yeah.
you can do it with a fork, or you can I did it with my hands, because for me, I did it with my fingers, and I found myself going into the zone when I was doing it. It's one of those things, it's like shelling peas, it's one of the nature's pleasures. It's nature's giving us a gift, and take it slowly, don't rush it, just enjoy it. And as you're doing that and enjoying it, your juice will be full of love.
Yeah. Oh.
So that's but be careful you don't include any green ones. Pull the green ones out, because they might give a bitterness to the juice.
Yeah.
But don't be too precious over it. I think with these things, it's like the Juicy Lucy. It's like the quinine. It is what it says. It's simple. 3 grapefruits, 3 lemons, water, bish bash bosh. Don't mess around with it. Yeah, don't mess around with it.
Yeah.
And don't stress over it, because you mustn't. If you stress over it, that's going to be in your.
That's going to go into it. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So so that's it for the elderberry. Elderflower is June. So I would, I always pick it at. Really funny. I always pick it between 11 and 12 o'clock on a June morning, because I want it to have the flowers, to have the dew to have gone, but I still want it to be bloomy. I don't want it to be dried out. And then I soak it overnight.
That's a good point.
I soak it overnight and leave it in cold water overnight with lemons. And I've posted some photographs for you there. And then that's really simple. The next day, you just strain it, add your sugar, and if you want to, your citric acid, if you want that. You don't have to. You can just add more lemons if that's the case, and then bottle it up in sterilised bottles. And I've got people going, have you got any? Have you got any? I'm a bit precious.
Lovely. That's wicked. Thank you so much for that.
Well, I don't know if it's the perfect way to make it. Have a look. All I can say to people is it's brought me great joy and great health benefits.
Yeah, it's just having a go, isn't it? Having a go at trying it,
and
the see how you personally feel.
The elderflower is superb for Christmas presents. People go, if you give them something like that, they just love it. They love things that people have made and created and thought about. It's the way we should be living. It really is the way we should be living.
It is. And
I even gave away some quinine. I've given away quinine.
Yeah, we have. Very often, if we've run out, the boat opposite us, they'll give us a bit of theirs, and vice versa.
Absolutely. It's great stuff.
And it's quite cool actually to have a taste of somebody else's juice, because every single batch tastes different. Every single one.
I had problems getting organic grapefruit. I don't know about you, but I couldn't get organic grapefruit. So I was told by someone to clean the skins really, really thoroughly. Well, a way to do it is to put bicarbonate of soda on your grapefruit, and then just drizzle some white vinegar over it, and it fizzes and it cleans it, and you can suddenly smell the grapefruit. It's amazing. The smell is incredible, and it cleans all the wax and the rubbish off.
That's what I do every time.
I do. Yeah. Anyway.
Lovely. Well, thanks for joining me, Alison, and thanks for sharing your lovely recipe. We'll put the recipe in the comments below, shall we?